Hello, and welcome to the Ilene Silverman Show. I'm your host, Ilene, and on this week's program, our guests discuss PACE Center for Girls and the life-changing opportunities they provide for at-promise girls in Alachua County and how our community can help PACE grow. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our program. Since 1998, PACE Center for Girls Alachua has been dedicated to providing at-promise girls the opportunities and skills for a more positive future. To tell us more, I'm pleased to introduce my guest, Natalya Bannister, Executive Director of PACE, and Becker, Holland, Development Manager, PACE Alachua. And it's wonderful to have you both here, Becker and Natalya.
It's so nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
I remember one of my early visits to PACE and just how much this organization means to our community. Truly does. And Natalya, how long have you been with PACE?
I've been here for 2.5 years now. And it's been the most exciting 2.5 years I've ever had.
I remember meeting you at the Throw a Girl a Lifeline luncheon when Kathy Southwick introduced you, and those are big shoes to fill, and you are doing it very well.
Thank you. That was actually my first week in the job.
You aced it. And what about you, Becker?
I've been there for a year and a half, and I came in as a special projects coordinator, and then my boss had a baby. Her husband graduated and went off to teach, and she went with him instead of staying with us. So,
and so here you are.
So here
I think,
I am.
as I was saying to you, a good fit for you.
Well,
yes,
thank you
for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And before we get into all the things that everyone is doing, kind of step back, if you would, and help us understand exactly what is PACE. We think maybe everyone should know, but they may not. Define it and help us understand how it all started here in Alachua County. Becker, what about you? You think back to those days with Kathy Southwick starting, Rod Smith.
Exactly. Rod Smith is really responsible for bringing PACE to Alachua. He was a senator, as you may remember.
Yes.
And in the legislature, he was part of an appropriations committee, and a woman who was instrumental in helping PACE expand throughout Florida came to the legislature, and she was lobbying for funding to open 2 more PACE centers. And so she explained what PACE was all about, and Rod was so impressed, he promised her that if she would make PACE Alachua the number 3 center that she was opening, put that in the pipeline, he would make sure she got funding for 1 and 2. And that is actually how PACE came to Gainesville, Florida and Alachua County.
Oh, we are fortunate.
Absolutely.
You, Rod.
Thank you, Rod.
And he's been involved ever since.
He has. He handpicked
with his
Kathy,
wife, Dee Dee.
right?
Yeah.
He and Dee Dee have been very instrumental and very supportive all 19 years that we've been here. So we have to give him lots and lots of credit. And not only that, but when he was in the state's attorney's office, he made sure that funding came to PACE through the state's attorney's office, because we are funded by DJJ. We are a prevention and intervention program. And so he saw that synergy. And
I see how that could fit. And you are a nonprofit, so that all is a part of it.
Absolutely.
And Natalya, how would you define PACE? If you were explaining it to someone who didn't know PACE, what are the words you would use?
One word that would describe it would be transformational. And PACE is a school, and many people don't know that we're actually a day school where girls come and we're completely voluntary. So when a girl is in her home school or at her local high school and she's having some issues, it may be academically that she's falling behind, or she may be having some trouble socially, or some trouble with her behavior. A lot of those issues are usually from underlying issues with our girls. So a girl would come to PACE because she may be failing. The academics might be the hook.
Right, that's what everybody sees, the apparent.
Yes.
But you know there's more to the layers.
Absolutely. So when a girl comes to PACE, we start removing those layers, and we start finding out that there's a story there, and every single girl at PACE has a story to share, and many of them have experienced all types of abuse. And that's the one thing all of our girls share, is that they all have experienced some sort of trauma. And when we start uncovering those layers, we start getting to the root of why they're not being successful in school.
So instead of a punishment, you're reinventing their lives so they can have a positive future.
Absolutely.
I mean, how lucky are these young women? About how many girls can be at PACE at any one time? How many can you serve?
That's a interesting question.
Okay. Pivotal, maybe.
Well, we have stretched our limits because there's so many girls in our community who need us. So we were averaging a couple of years ago about 35 girls. And over the last 2 years, we have found that so many girls in our community were out there that really needed our services. So we expanded our outreach beyond, and we have 55 girls now at PACE.
Wow. And I know it must hurt you thinking of every girl that you were not helping, but every girl you are helping, it touches your heart. Yes. And we have much more to talk about, but we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back talking about PACE Alachua. And Natalya Becker, we were talking about the many programs that are available at PACE. And before we continue with that, what are the ages of the girls at PACE?
We serve middle and high school girls, so it can range from 11 to 18 years old.
Okay. And go back to the programs. a day at Pace. What is it like? Help us understand.
Sure. Many of our girls, because of some of the trauma they've been through and their experiences, they have been told sometimes the things that they've done wrong in their life. And when they get to PACE, we're a strength-based program. We help them discover the things that they're good at. And
What they're doing right.
What they're doing right. And sometimes for some girls, it's the first time they've ever heard that. So our program is a holistic program. We have a social service side and an academic side, and they work together.
Right.
And without one, the other one will not function. But the first thing is addressing the trauma of the girls that come to PACE, whether it's been sexual, emotional, or neglect, whatever type of abuse they have experienced. We make sure that we support them with that, and we offer them mental health counseling on site. And
Excellent.
in conjunction with an academic advisor that really gets to the root of some of their academic issues. But without one, we can't really address the other.
It's a balance. You can't have somebody go to learn if they are not able to learn, which is what has brought them to PACE, whatever, as you said, the underlying factors are. And each girl must have such a unique story that you must, it must be quite a bonding experience to be there day by day, because you must form close relationships. When the girls will let you into that, because they probably have a lot of barriers to trusting people.
They often do when they first come to PACE, and I think that's the importance of our social service side. We don't just serve the girl, we serve her whole family. So when a girl is accepted to PACE, her family or her caretakers, it might be foster parents, it might be a guardian appointed by the courts, they have to commit to coming to counseling once a month. Our girls get counseling with they have all kinds of counselors, group counseling, counseling on their own, counseling on demand, 24-hour access to counselors. We really wrap social services around the girls and their families, because without that, as Natalya said, they simply aren't going to be successful. We have to address the trauma that brought them to PACE in the first place.
Are the families usually willing, or sometimes is there resistance to, or is it, I guess, a mix?
With coming to PACE is such a big decision, and that's why I stress that it's voluntary, because when a girl comes to PACE, the family has to be ready to come to PACE as well, because it is a requirement that the families meet once a month at PACE with the teachers and the counselors, because if the families aren't involved, the girl, it will really
she'll just be going back home, and you don't have the root cause addressed.
And our counselors are so dedicated. If a parent misses one of their counseling sessions and they call and they can't get somebody, they get in the car and they go out and they hunt that parent down. So it's, once you commit to us, we're committed to you.
Yes,
we are going to do everything in our power to make it work. Our counselors and our teachers are absolutely amazing. Our social service manager has been there 16 years. So, he is invested, absolutely. He's invested so much into the program and to our girls, and they have such deep respect for him. And all of our counselors are like that. I just can't tell you what they do for the girls, and they uncover the issues. They help our girls find their strength. They find their voice, their courage, their resiliency. They become self-reliant.
It's amazing, because it would take such skill on the part, as you're saying, of all that support system to know how to have the keys that unlock that within the young girl, because you're dealing with some significant
adolescents with significant issues.
Yes, more than the ordinary. When we think of our own families, we know we're blessed. It's hard to even at the Throw a Girl a Lifeline luncheon go, and we hear the testimonies go, is this really someone's life? And we know it is. We think, all of these issues need to be addressed, and you were doing that, and we're going to take another quick break.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about Pace Alachua and Natalya and Becker. There seems to be common threads among all the stories I've ever heard from the Pace girls. And you always say Pace believes in girls. And so let us know the girls at Pace. Where are they all from in this community?
We serve girls from all different demographics, but as you said, the common thread is they all share some sort of trauma. Over half of our girls self-reported that Pace saved their life in a recent survey that we did this spring.
Oh, it's kind of hard to say it better than that. I understand. So, and they're coming from all schools all over this community. Okay. So that helps us to understand that those underlying threads take place in all kind of families. And sometimes you just don't know what's behind all of that.
You don't. I'll tell you something that happens. We have tours. You've probably been on one at Pace, and we have women who come and they tour with the girls, and they sit down with the girls at the end, and the girl will share her story. And Ilene, rarely do we have a tour when one of the women sitting around the table doesn't share a very similar story. And you've heard the statistics about.
But share that, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so
it's scary.
It's very scary. And so for us to have a place for girls to come that is absolutely dedicated, gender specific.
Right.
We are focused on girls. We are focused on girls so that we can help them to grow and develop and be successful, keep them out of the juvenile justice system. We know that's the last place we want them to go.
Exactly. That's just a downward spiral to
they're gone.
To prison, and
they're gone.
That's the end of their
gone.
future.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about our community, for each girl that doesn't have a good future and for each one that does, how does that affect the community as a whole?
When you invest in a girl, you are investing in your community. Every girl deserves an opportunity for a better future and a second chance. And that's really what our girls are in need of, is just that second chance. Because for many of our girls, Pace is the last stop for them. They've already dropped out of school.
Right.
They're already expelled, and they really don't have another place to go. Another
acting
option.
up and acting out, and it's just their... I see.
Before getting lost in the juvenile justice system or worse. So Pace is really the last hope for a lot of these girls. So it's just so important for us to continue to invest in our girls, because we're investing in the next generation when we invest in them.
Yes, well said. And when we think about, well, you've talked about that, you can't even serve as many girls as you would like. So we know that Pace needs to grow.
Yes.
We have to create more space, and that's happening now.
Yes.
It absolutely is. We've launched our capital campaign, and we're so
Bravo.
excited.
Excited.
We have our lead gift of $100,000 from an anonymous donor, and
Exceptional.
absolutely exceptional. And that provided a match for our ask with the Women's Giving Circle, and we were awarded their $50,000 grant.
And it's well deserved.
Well, thank you.
And they think this out very intently. So if they have felt that about Pace, you know that it's meaningful and it's something we should all be behind too.
Well, and of course it was women looking to invest in
other
women, and the kinds of things that they wanted to address were educational issues, social, emotional, psychological issues that affect girls, and risk factors like generational poverty or homelessness, or
And each of
parents
those
who are
that
incarcerated.
all that
those
cycle
things.
that we see, that we are hoping for one girl at a time to stop that
To
cycle.
break the cycle. And
Yes.
so if we invest in these girls, we can help them break those cycles. And I think that's what the Women's Giving Circle saw that we do so well. And I also think they've seen our history. We had our first
Exactly.
capital campaign with Kathy Southwick, and Susan and Tom Spain led the
I
charge.
was there too, yes.
Right, and that was in 2009, and we were able to build 7 classrooms. But now our outreach has been so successful that we are at capacity.
Right.
And unless we expand, I mean, we are mandated by law to have 14-to-1 our teacher-student
I
ratio.
see. So you can't go past that ratio.
I mean, it's standing room only.
Right, right.
And that affects our program because it's really important for our girls to have the opportunity to socialize and have the camaraderie because
Right.
many of them have experienced the same type of trauma.
And they need, in a non-judgmental setting, they need to form that bonding. And we're going to take another quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about PACE Alachua and this whole Butterfly Center, which I know has such meaning and promise. What will this capital campaign mean for PACE? I mean, you're launching it and you have a ways to go, but what will this really mean?
Besides, well, first and foremost, it means serving many more girls who are in crisis that are on our waiting list that need to be at PACE. So we're creating space so that more girls who need us can come to PACE. We'll also enhance our services tremendously by having a clinic on site. So many of our girls who miss school for minor health issues, will remove that barrier by having a clinic on site so those girls can improve academically and
get the health needs that need to be addressed that are slipping through the cracks again.
Well, it's not always easy for them to access health care services.
Yes.
Their parents can't take off
Lack
from
of
work
transportation.
to take them, so on-site is so important, and there are many PACE centers around the state that have these clinics, and the outcomes are incredible. So
you know that is something that is definitely needed.
Know.
yes.
And we were talking about, wait a minute, you mentioned a kitchen. Okay.
A kitchen. We do not have a kitchen on our entire school.
See, I didn't even know that. Yes.
It would just enhance our program so much to be able to provide on-site nutritional classes for our girls and our parents, provide healthy food for them.
Again, a lifestyle change.
Absolutely.
That would go into the whole family, help siblings, parents, all of that. And there's more. I mean, I know in your minds you see how much this will mean.
Not just for our girls, for their families and for the community. With a bigger space, we can invite the community in. We can provide programming for whole families and for the community. We can provide after-school programming for our girls. We know those are at-risk hours when kids are on their own between the time they get out of school and the time that their parents get home. Those who have parents who get home, if we can engage them strategically and enhance their life and provide yoga or Zumba or classes. I mean, we're so excited.
All of this, I say, So how, as the community, how can we help to make this happen? I mean, you have a dedicated board, wonderful people who have always been there for PACE. But how much can you balance?
We have the most amazing board, including Kathy Southwick, who is our founding executive director and still on our board, and we wouldn't be where we are
her
without
heart
her.
Is always with PACE and for PACE, and it's clear.
And they have raised a lot of money for the center so far. Our community has also been so generous, and we're about halfway there. but we still need that extra half to get
That
to
push.
the finish line. So we're really looking for our community to help us get there, so that girls who are in crisis waiting to get in the doors of PACE, that they will be able to come with the help of our community.
Yes, and we are behind you. I mean, throughout the year, we've talked about you have different fundraisers. Mary Wise, our volleyball coach
Has
at
been
UF,
a
has
great
been a
advocate for us.
yes, yes.
And she does her golf tournament every year. We have a Throw a Girl Lifeline luncheon. We participate in a lot of different fundraisers. But honestly, Eileen, our best fundraisers are our board members, people like Carol Zagel, who's
Yes.
been
So
involved in PACE
committed to this from the
since
beginning.
its inception. Yes, served on our board, served on the state board as part of our capital campaign committee. We are so lucky, but it's the relationships. So hopefully,
Yes, those relationships, those people that know, understand PACE and all that it takes.
we'll invest.
You need that community
We'll
to
invest
invest
in
in
us.
PACE right now.
And I think the other thing that that sort of sets us above or makes us interesting as an investment, aside from the incredible mission of
Yes.
PACE and the work we do, is that when you invest in PACE for a specific reason, you know that we're going to deliver on that.
That is true.
We are starting this center. We will be breaking ground in September, and we will raise the funding one way or the other.
This will happen.
This will happen, particularly with the support of an incredibly generous Gainesville and Alachua County community.
Yes, well said. And I so appreciate Natalya, Becker, and everyone at PACE, all the people behind you, and the girls. I just so appreciate all that you and others are doing for this community so that PACE can be here and help the girls that they need to. It is making a tremendous difference, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. And I'm so glad that you tuned in, and I hope you'll join us next week. Take care.